So trying to run a business and take care of them was super hard. But my mom was a super big supporter of me. But with my first, I never had any issues. He was with me all the time, hooked to my back or in the bakery. And before I could even market them to anyone or anything, the local hospital was like, we want these cookies. The stories I heard from moms that they, had several kids and could never breastfeed their babies, but because of my cookies, they could. And then they had so much milk, they were able to share their milk with other moms. I'm telling you, these things are going to fly off the shelf. So their first order, they ordered full-size cheesecakes and mini cheesecakes. And I think it was like 200 full-size cheesecakes and then, 1,200 mini cheesecakes. And they plan to order every 2 weeks. Within 24 hours, they were sold out of every location. So we're building community while giving back to the community.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hospitality Bites. I am your host, self-proclaimed hospitality hustler, mompreneur, and founder of Hospitality Bites Media. Here in Hospitality Bites, I take great pride in highlighting individuals from all aspects of the industry with the intention of humanizing it. My guests come from various professions around the world, including restaurateurs, bartenders, chefs, cookbook authors, consultants, and advocates. Today, I'm excited to introduce a fellow mompreneur who fits that description perfectly. Our guest is joining me from nearly 4,000 miles away in my bucket list state to visit Alaska. She's the co-owner of Anchorage's only country bar, Pink Cadillac. She's also a previous winner on Food Network's Cupcake Wars, a cast member on the upcoming series Legacy Makers, and the founder of Kastle Kreations, where you can find her famous cupcakes and cheesecakes, and where she thoughtfully created and sells Mama's Milkin Munchies for nursing mothers. Welcome to the show, Kastle Sorensen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, I'm super excited, super honored to be part of this.
Well, it's funny. So Molly, I found out about her through a previous guest about almost 2 years ago, and I've been following along on her journey. And then she recommended you, and then I realized you guys helped build a cookie together, a nursing cookie for moms.
Mm-hmm.
That is so fun. We're going to talk all about all of that and what you're doing, but let's kind of jump into how did you get into the food industry in baking specifically?
Yeah, so it's kind of not correlated at all. I went to school to become a Spanish teacher, got my degree in Spanish, and then with a degree in that, there's not much you can do other than teach. So I decided to go ahead and get my teaching degree and teach Spanish. Right out of college, I was just turned 21. I was teaching high school kids. And they were so mean. Like, I was basically their age. I had seniors in some of my classes, and like I looked young for my age. And so, it was getting respect from them was super hard. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So after my first year of teaching, I moved back to Alaska and tried to get a job here. But Spanish isn't highly sought after for like jobs and stuff. We don't, there's one Spanish teacher per school. Everyone's fighting for it. I was up against native speakers. And so it was really hard to get a job. I tried for 3 years. I substitute taught while trying to get a job. And I was like, okay, this is not working. Let's figure something else out for now. So I went into banking because, you can move up careers in that area. And then one day I was just like, I can't do this. Like, I am a creative person. I cannot sit at a desk all day. I need to do something else. My managers actually encouraged me to put in my 2-week notice and figure out what I wanted to do. So I did. And then I started working for my dad as just like a desk secretary person. And while at work with him, he always had the TV on, and Cupcake Wars came on TV. And growing up, I always baked with my grandma and my mom. And I was like, I like to bake. Let's just do this for fun. And so I would make different treats every day and bring them into the office, and staff would come in or clients and like, here, try this. Let me know what you think. Everyone loved it. And then eventually people just started like asking to order this stuff. And I was like, I don't know what to charge you. I don't have containers. Like, sure. And so I just started making it. But then as I did more research and stuff, like there were no cupcake only shops in Alaska. We didn't really have food trucks at the time and stuff. And so I was like, I'm just going to test the market, see what happens, see if there's even a need or a want for this. And so I started doing all the summer markets on like basically every day of the week, like 5 days a week. I was baking cupcakes and going to these markets, and I was selling out so quickly. And by the end of the summer, I was like, all right, I need to do this. Trying to figure out, am I going to get a storefront? How am I going to bake all this stuff? Because doing it out of my house, after a few hundred cupcakes, like it's not efficient and stuff. So convinced my dad that it was a good idea and to invest in me. And he helped me build my first food truck. We had it built out of Portland since that's like the food truck capital, of the US. And built my commercial kitchen in there and kind of just ran with it. And here we are 15 years later and doing a lot more than the cupcakes and stuff.
I love that your dad invested in you.
Yeah,
That is so sweet.
He's like, no one's going to pay $2 for a cupcake. And now they pay $4.
I was going to say, when you go back 15 years ago, before you said like the food truck boom was definitely in that time period of like the 2000s. And right, people were starting just trying to sell anything. And where I grew up, like in the DC area, there were cupcake food trucks. That was a thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny, now it's like it's not uncommon to see a dessert food truck somewhere or whatever they're selling. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So as you evolved from the cupcakes, you went on Cupcake Wars. When you applied, how long have you been doing cupcakes at the time?
Let's see. I started in 2011 and I was on Cupcake Wars in fall of 2013. So about 2 years into my business. I actually tried out 3 times for the show. And I think the first time was in maybe my first year of business.
And so then you won.
Yeah. It was super crazy. They called me. So the show's all based on personality. So the very last video that we made for our audition video, we were all out there and stuff. And so, but the lady I went with, we didn't even really know each other. She owned a cake shop. I owned a cupcake shop, but she was a cake decorator. And so I was like together, like we would be the perfect team. And so when they called us saying that they wanted us on the show, I was like, oh man, we have a lot of work to do. So we had 1 month to prepare. So we spent every single day with each other, practicing, figuring out recipes, practicing in my little food kitchen and my food truck because that's all I had at the time. I was building my other commercial kitchen, which I use now. But we watched every episode of Cupcake Wars. Like, I wanted to know what the judge liked, disliked, what they've seen, what they haven't. Like, we worked our butts off to like go there and, not make a fool of ourselves on national TV.
Well, good for you. I mean, it's interesting that you said that. When I've had a lot of people on my show from different parts of like the food media world, we talk about competition shows. There's this aspect that people really do forget about the preparation, whether it's like I said, learning about the judges and what their palates are, or the mental capacity to handle something so obscure as to what the challenge could be, and how do you process that in a short. You have this much time, right? To okay, I'm making this thing with this ingredient that I would never typically do. For you, I think that's incredible that you took the time to know your partner. Let's see what we're getting into and how can we be successful at this?
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
And I recently watched a video that you did a couple years ago. I think it was your local NPR, talking about when you won the Food Network show and where you are now. I mean, this was 2 years ago, but where you were after winning.
So when I was on the show, I actually wasn't pregnant yet. So
okay.
We filmed in June. The show aired in November. And a month later, I found out I was pregnant with my first. So that was all pre-kids. Yeah.
Okay. And now you have 3, though.
Still 2 kids.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah, 2 kids. And then, I'm not married anymore.
So you've been doing this, running your business as a single mom. I just found out that you are taking on the incredible task of homeschooling, which, again, my hat off to you, because the patience to do that, dedicate to your children and to your business.
Yeah.
What was kind of like a defining moment or a hurdle that you faced that like dictated the next part of this business for you? Like, when did you say, I got to invest in this because my life kind of depends on it? What was that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be like when I got divorced. I knew I was going to have full custody of my kids. I knew that I was going to be the sole provider for them. And so I kind of did, at that time, they were little. I think they were 1 and 4. And so, they're not in school and stuff. So trying to run a business and take care of them was super hard. But my mom was a super big supporter of me. They would sleep the night with her and I'd go bake at like 10 p.m. to like 3 a.m. And then I'd go over and sleep at her house when I was done so that I'd be with them in the morning. And I did that. And it was really hard, but it's like, when else am I going to, work? I've got one that's just starting to walk and one that's all over the place. And like, I'm going to go crazy trying to work in the bakery and do all this. And so I definitely think that was one of the challenges and how I had to change my perspective. And then once they were school age kids, then it was, man, now they're in all these activities and all this other stuff. Like, I have to provide even more for them. And so now that they're at school, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, what can I do to increase my business that gives me more time so I'm ready for them when they're out of school? So that's when I kind of switched into the wholesale world,
Mm.
which I really miss the face to face personal interactions with people and direct selling. But it was like with wholesale, I make the product, I give it to someone else, and then they take care of, selling it. And then
Mm-hmm.
I still market it and let everyone know where it's at. But like my job is done. So I can go in, make my stuff, be done, move on with my day.
Well, I mean, mom strength, you epitomize that because it really is difficult to have a passion and pursue it and then also give your energy to your children. So
Yeah.
I love that you also there's a product that you sell. We talked about it in your intro, are your breast milk cookies. And I believe that you were inspired by your own journey to do
Hmm.
that or to
Yeah.
to find a recipe. What was that like?
Yeah, so with my first, I never had any issues. He was with me all the time, hooked to my back or in the bakery. My second, though, because then I had two of them, he went to like an at home daycare type place. And so I was
Hmm.
away from him more. And obviously, pumping just isn't the same as, direct breastfeeding them. And so I started seeing my milk supply drop at like 3 months. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I can barely get an ounce out when I'm pumping and stuff. And so I started looking into different ways that you could increase your milk. And I don't like supplements and vitamins and all these things that aren't going to taste good and stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm a baker and I know you can make lactation cookies. So why not make a cookie? And so I came up with just an oatmeal chocolate chip cookie, figured out what needed to be in the cookies
Hmm.
to help produce milk more, and started eating them. And within a week, my milk supply doubled. And then even like the fat content from all the oats in it, like that increased by a lot too. And I was like, wow, I should put these on Facebook, see if anyone's interested in them. And before I could even market them to anyone or anything, the local hospital was like, we want these cookies. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not done with creating the name or the packaging or anything, but
Wow.
as soon as I do, like, I will get them to you. And cookies are not my passion. Like for me, they're
Hmm.
very like repetitive. They're not as creative, at least these ones and stuff. So they weren't like my favorite thing to make. But the stories I heard from moms that they, had several kids and could never breastfeed their babies, but
Hmm.
because of my cookies, they could. And then they had so much milk, they were able to share their milk with other moms. And I'm like, how can I not make these
Hmm.
cookies?
My daughter, I tried so hard. Well, first of all, when they gave me her, it was during the pandemic. I had my daughter. And
Hmm.
I said I wanted to try breastfeeding. I also wanted to try pumping and I wanted to try bottle feeding because I didn't know what I was going to be able to do. So I was trying to
Yeah.
prepare myself. But the hospital that I delivered my daughter at, the second I said I wanted to try breastfeeding, they took the bottles and they took the pump out of the room because they were a breast is best
Hmm.
hospital
Yeah.
and they didn't and no one told me that was going to happen. So they're trying to put my daughter on me. I am like crying because I don't know what's going on. Like nothing's happening. It's also the pandemic, so there's like no one's really talking to me. My
Right.
mom's not there. I was in such a disarray. Well, I get home from the hospital. My mom happened to be able to come visit, and she's like, "Has the baby had a wet diaper?" I said, "No. Should she have?" And she's like, "Well, Colleen, like it really should be like every couple hours." She hadn't had a wet diaper in like 4 hours because
Wow.
I was giving her nothing. When I was putting her on, apparently she was just chewing on me. So I went to
Oh
the
no.
lactation specialist, and she said, "Oh my god, honey, like TMI, but my nipples, they said look like cheeseburger meat because she was just like gnawing at it. So nothing was happening. And then they taught me how to pump. And it was really hard for me. Like I never made enough milk. So I supplemented with formula. And after like 6 weeks, I actually gave up pumping because, like you said, the energy and the work that it took to produce like 1 or 2 ounces of milk
Yeah.
was so mentally exhausting. I was so upset with myself. I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have like friends around because it was a pandemic and I hadn't heard about these cookies. I feel like maybe I don't know, maybe 'cause I was in a bubble that I didn't know that there was options like that. But man,
Mhm.
how I could have benefited from something so simple. Like, let's just
Yeah.
try this. Even if I
Yep.
was breastfeeding or pumping, what a difference that could have made. And you're right,
Mhm.
like women, they donate their milk because it's Formula One is so expensive right now. Anyone
Yeah.
that's having a child. So what you're doing really, you're offering something that may sound simple, like baking a cookie, but what it does to a mother to know that she's providing for her child when they may
Yeah.
not be able to otherwise is amazing. I think it's so beautiful. I love that you took your own experience to help other women and that the hospital reached out to you. Like, that's
Right?
wild.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, done. Let's figure this out quicker.
And then you and Molly collabed on like a cookie not too long ago, right? Like a
Yeah,
crazy big cookie
so
too.
yeah, so so I had two flavors and I was like, Molly, you're in the cookie world. You should make these cookies. Like, let's get them to all these places and whatnot. And so she's like, okay, but my cookie brand, is a big cookie. So let's make a big cookie instead and let's make it soft and chewy. So a little, we came up with a different
Mhm.
recipe it had more eggs and more peanut butter. So it was soft and more fluffy and stuff. And,
Mhm.
and yeah, we did that for a while. But what I found is that even though it's the same amount of cookie as two cookies, people did not like the one cookie. They felt like it was too much money for the one cookie because like seeing two versus one, like in your
The
mind, like,
perception.
yeah. And so we had to go back to the two cookies, but on the packaging, like it's two cookies, like that look like the boobs or whatever. So like it still went along with
I
like the
love
logo.
it.
But she's like, and if we're putting it together, we got to come up with a new name. And I was like, but people know this brand. She's like, it can still be Castle's Creation, but we need a brand together that, has both of our stuff and a new name. So that's where the Plump 'em Up came and was one together.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think what's so like if you're a mom, like it's funny. Like we are allowed to joke
Yeah.
about our breastfeeding and what it's like. I mean, I
Mhm.
am from the restaurant industry and we talk about all the time how women have no time to pump and
Yeah.
like you're still serving tables and doing all these things, right? And like
Yep.
10 years ago, I had a girlfriend that put cabbage in her boobs because she couldn't leave the bar and it was an old wives' tale, kind of like this, like an old wives' tale, like what ingredients you can use to like pump up your supplies. So
Yeah.
I think the name is amazing.
Yeah. It
Pump them
was a
up.
super fun name. Yeah.
It's so good. And then so that is that was that where you segued into the CPG was with the cookies or was it the cupcakes first and then the cheesecakes?
Yeah, so cupcakes, I've never really done too much of the wholesale in, just because they don't have as long of a shelf life. And if people don't take care
Mm,
of my product, then, it's a bad representation of myself. So I let
right.
one gas station sell the cupcakes that was nearby the bakery. And it was basically like if we didn't sell out, we would package them up. And anyone who missed the time the truck was out, because my hours were limited. It was while the kids were at school.
Hmm.
So from 11 to 3, you could come get cupcakes. After that, like you were out of luck. So this gas station would carry them. They were in variety packs, and that was the only place that I did them. And then, so yeah, the cookies would have been probably the first thing that kind of went wholesale. And that's
Hmm.
kind of just a side thing compared to the cheesecakes now. The cheesecakes is the one that's kind of gone really big. And, we serve by the slice at restaurants on dessert menus. We're in gas
I love
stations,
it.
coffee shops, and then now getting into grocery stores and all across the state.
And for cheese, I mean, so you can't see, but behind me, I have a Golden Girls Murder by Cheesecake cookbook and a story. I love cheesecake. It's my truly my guilty pleasure. We just joked earlier today that when I'm like 90 in a nursing home, all I'll need is a cheesecake before I go to bed every night. Like, don't worry about my meds or anything. But
Yeah.
it's a very, skilled thing to make and to perfect and to sell because it can go wrong very quickly. It can curdle. It depends on what you're making. The ingredients all have to match up. What
Mhm.
got you into cheesecakes specifically?
My cheesecake's actually a no bake cheesecake. So I don't have to deal with as much of those challenges and stuff. But peanut butter is my favorite flavor. And peanut butter pie is a dessert that I would always get at every single restaurant. Wherever I go, I'd try them all. And one day I was like, again, like I'm a baker. Why am I buying dessert from other places when I could just like make my own recipe? So I decided to come up with my own peanut butter pie that was like a combination of everything I liked from all the different places, but that was my own. And I never did too much with it. On the cupcake truck, I would sell mini pies at holidays. They're like
Mhm.
little, basically individual size, 6 inch. You could basically share it with two people. And then again, once the kids got into school, I was like, I should market these to the restaurants and see if they'd be interested in
Mhm.
selling these. And some places, buy from the big box stores like Cisco or
Yeah.
Foods or whatnot. But other restaurants make their own desserts. So
Mhm.
any restaurant that did not make their own dessert was kind of who I marketed to, because I'm like, hey, I'm local. People know me. Wouldn't you rather have a better quality dessert on your menu than something that's been made in a factory and that's you don't know how old it is.
Mhm.
So I started going that route and I was dropping up slices to all the different restaurants. And before I knew it, I was in probably 15 to 20 different restaurants. And obviously peanut butter is not a flavor that everyone loves. A lot of people are allergic to it. And so I started getting into coming up with other flavors and other, because even the peanut butter pie is kind of like a cheesecake. There's cream cheese and, homemade whipped cream in it and stuff. I just started coming up with other flavors. And because of it being a no bake, it's easy to mass produce. It's got a long shelf life and it's easy to distribute to places and have like it not get messed up during travel.
Mm-hmm. And I saw that your Thanksgiving one is like one of your top sellers.
Yeah, this year we're gonna do a pumpkin snickerdoodle cheesecake. So it's gonna have a pumpkin snickerdoodle cheese cookie on the bottom, and then my no bake cheesecake on top with pumpkin pie spice. Yeah, I'm super excited.
That sounds amazing. I had a guest on a few weeks ago, and we talked about my favorite thing about going to restaurants is dessert. And I will
Mhm.
always like, you will drop a dessert menu at me, and I will order
Right away.
something no matter what, because it's just like it's something that I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just a little sweet tooth at heart, and that's all I'm ever going to be. I don't know, but I love desserts. And I do agree, like some places when they make their own dessert specifically, I will always order it, or if it's from a local bakery. One, again, it's being made probably as soon as they open, it's been dropped off because it needs to be, the shelf life is a lot shorter versus, like you said, like
Mhm.
a bigger wholesale place. They're
Yeah.
made with so much preservatives because they have to last X amount of days to weeks in a freezer,
Mhm.
right? Like that's how a lot of restaurants operate. We'll jump into that. You own your own bar right now, and like so you're navigating that. And but there's something about homemade or locally sourced and served at a restaurant. Just it's a really special touch. And like I said, I love cheesecake so much, but that you also get different varieties. And now you're selling in grocery stores. How did you do that? How did you get from restaurants into grocery stores?
Yeah, so I have some friends in the dance community that I know through my country bar, and one of them used to be one of the head managers, bakery managers at Fred Meyer's. And she's like, Fred Meyer's and Three Bears do not have good cheesecakes. You need to get your cheesecakes in there. And I was like, sure, let's try it. And we tried for Three Bears. So Three Bears is like a local version of Costco. So they buy
Okay.
everything from Costco and then upsell the prices. And it's for basically Costco isn't in all these locations. So they have a deal with Three
Mhm.
Bears where Three Bears builds these locations and they buy from Costco, and Costco's not allowed to build within so many feet of them. So we started there and I was like, let's just see what happens. And months after months, we're trying to reach out to people and no one's getting back to us. And finally my friend ran into the person and was like, what's going on? Are we ever going to get a meeting? And so before we knew it, we were able to finally get a meeting and get in there. And obviously everyone loved it. And they're like, we're going to go ahead and start you in just 4 locations and we're just going to see what happens. And I was like, okay. And then, we're negotiating prices because they're my first big wholesale thing. But,
Mhm.
rather than selling hundreds, you're selling thousands of cheesecakes. And so I'm like trying to figure this all out. And they're like, well, we want to sell it for this price. They want to sell it for $3.49 a cheesecake. And I was like, these retail for $8. I understand you're a wholesale like space,
Mhm.
but like people pay $5 to $6 for these. And they're like, no, we want everyone to be able to have access to it and for everyone to be able to try it. And I was like, all right, but I'm telling you, these things are going to fly off the shelf. So their first order, they ordered full size cheesecakes and mini cheesecakes. And I think it was like 200 full size cheesecakes and then like, I don't know, 1,200 mini cheesecakes. And I said, okay, here's your order. I'm going on vacation for the next week. And then they plan to order every 2 weeks. Within 24 hours, they were sold out of every
Stop
location.
it.
And I was like, well, I'm gone and no one can make cheesecake. So everyone's going to have to wait. And now we go through like 60, I think they said like 6,500 mini cheesecakes a month between all their locations. And we're in every single store of theirs now that they have.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then during
That's
all that stuff,
incredible.
it's crazy. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to keep up with this and like everything else that I'm
Mhm.
doing. And like you mentioned, I own a bar. And in the beginning, it was okay, Castle's Creations is settled and I've got people doing what I need to. So I'm going to move over here and start this other business that I can put all my attention into. And then it was, I don't have time for this right now. I need to move back over to the bakery and like try and get all that settled and everything. But during all that stuff, as the wholesale stuff was growing, I was also filming and being part of a new show coming out called Legacy Makers. And through
Mhm.
that whole process, I wasn't going to talk about it yet until it got closer to the air date. Because with Cupcake Wars, you can't actually tell anyone you're going to be on the show until 2 weeks before the show. So I thought this was
Mm.
something kind of similar. So I wasn't going to say anything about it. I was going to wait till we knew the air date was, and then like start mass throwing everything out on social media and make hype and this or that. And they said, do not wait to share this. Share it now, share it often, share something all the time, because the possibilities and opportunities you'll get now from the credibility of being on this will be huge. You're missing out on income by not telling people about this. And I was like, all right, I got off that Zoom thing and I started posting. And within, I think, a month or two, Fred Meyer's reached out to me, one of the local stores, and was like, hey, we want to talk to you about getting your dessert. And I'm like, well, I've actually been trying to get a hold of someone for the last year. I've already filled out all the applications and I would
Speaking of
definitely
that,
love to talk to you. And she goes, well, let's get it started on our end. And I was like, okay. So we're still in the process of all that, because going from Three Bears, which is a local, wholesale
mm-hmm.
distribution, to Fred Meyer's, which is Kroger, which is a whole different ball game,
Right.
is, there's so many more loops and things that have to go into it. And third party groups of, oh, you need this website that they send their POs through and you send your invoices to, and then this one to put all your items in. And I'm like, I don't even know all this stuff. And Molly's like, yeah, you're going to have to hire someone. You can no longer do this by yourself. And so I've hired a distributor now that has been an amazing, yeah. So they're like, have you ever thought about doing this? And I'm like, well, I have in the past, but like, this is such a big deal and I do not want anything to go wrong. So like passing this on to someone else is really scary for me to do. They offered me something that I couldn't say no to. So I just had bought a 20-foot by 16-foot walk-in fridge and freezer that basically takes up my whole garage. And after a couple weeks, like, it was full. And I was like, how am I going to keep up with production if my freezer is already full? And so this distribution company was like, we will buy your stock every single week. Whatever you make, we will buy. We will pay you next day. We will take care of all your deliveries, all your invoicing, and we love your product and believe in you. We want your product in every single grocery store in this state. And they have access to the Bush and all these places that no one can get to and whatnot. And I'm like, and you're going to take a little bit less because now you've got a third person handling all your stuff. But with the other companies, I was waiting 30 days to get paid. So trying to keep producing and doing everything you need to is hard when you're like, can I pay my credit card on time? Do I have room to buy more supplies and everything? Right. So it was such a huge blessing to get them on my team. And, now they're helping me still try and work through all the hurdles of Fred Meyer's and all the paperwork and things that we have to do and whatnot. But hopefully here by the holidays, we'll be in all the Fred Meyer's as well.
I mean, like I said, back to your dad, who would have thought like an investment in your kid? I mean, I think it's so sweet that when you believe in your children, like we're both moms, everything that I'm doing with Hospitality Bites is because of my daughter. Like I want her, if she enters the hospitality industry in any capacity, that I've tried my best to make it a safer, more inclusive space for her and talk about things that are like difficult, like how hard it was for mom to do this, but I did it for you. And like going with your dad, like he believed in you, he invested in you. Look at you now. And you've got these two beautiful children that you're raising at the same time. What a great example for them to look up to their mom. Like, wow, like that's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. And he actually invested in me. Oh, I was going to say, he invested in me in a few times too. First it was the food truck, paid him back within 6 months. And then when it came to the bakery, we built on a whole garage. It's basically the same size of the house. I think it's like a 1,500 square foot garage and the bakery's in the back. And so, again, loaning me money to take that step and everything. So along the way, I was able to prove that I was serious about what I was doing and that he would get paid back and that it was going to be a good investment. So it's been super cool to have him on my side to keep, investing in me when bigger things come up.
Absolutely. I think that's so wonderful. I'm so glad that Molly, this all worked out very quickly. Because I've been following Molly for over a year and a half now. My son's almost 1.5. So he was in my belly when I first learned about her. And like something that her story is very, is similar. Like she was a single mom, very little left in the bank, and she made something happen. And now like you have all these wonderful things happening and you're running a bar. How did you come up with a concept to go from cupcakes and cheesecakes to let's open Anchorage's only country bar and see what happens?
Right. So back in 2020, when everything was shut down, I had been divorced for like a year and a half, I think. And a friend was like, you need to get back out there and start meeting people. I think it's time. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't know if I ever want to do that ever again. And she's like, no, just like get on the dating site, see what happens. Like, can't even meet anyone because everything's closed and you can't meet in person. So just talk to people and see what happens. And I was like, fine, whatever. So we would joke every night laughing at all the profiles. And I was like, no, what are we doing? But it was like entertainment when you couldn't do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up meeting someone on there that nothing ever happened with, but we became like best friends instantly. And he was part of the dance community up here for country dancing. And when things opened back up, he's like, you should come out and learn how to dance. And I was like, no, I don't have time for that. And I don't know how to do that. No, thank you. And he's like, no, come on. Like, they teach lessons and there's this new place now. And so I was like, fine, whatever. So I came out, found a babysitter, and I fell in love with it the first night. Like, being able to just like, he introduced me to everyone in the community, and it was like this whole group of people that were so welcoming. I got to like be away from my everyday like business and life with kids and just do something for myself. And then like you're like, exercising basically. It was just such a high for me that I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. I need to do this every single night of the week. And so I started going dancing like 3 to 5 nights a week. And it got to the point of, okay, I can't afford a babysitter to do this all the time. So I ended up getting nannies so that at nighttime, basically while my kids were sleeping, I'd put them to sleep and then I go dance. And that was like my me time. But during all of it, the DJ is now my boyfriend's the one that I own the business with. So he was the DJ at the time when I started going out dancing. He was the one teaching dance lessons. And he found out I owned a bakery. And at the time he was doing gluten-free stuff. And he's like, if you make me gluten-free cookie dough, I will teach you how to dance. And I was like, deal. And so I'd go in on other days during the day and I would learn how to dance with him and everything. And then about 3 months later, we started dating and we've been together ever since. And it's always been his dream to open a bar. And where I met him was a place that didn't even exist for a country night. When COVID happened, the bar that we actually own now had been shut down and it was the place everyone went to. So about 10 minutes away, he opened up this new country night. And it was huge. Like they went from like $1,200 in sales to over $10,000 in sales after a few months. And so he did that. And then we started opening other country nights at restaurants and things. And we just saw what we were able to bring to the table and create. And so when this place reopened to be available for rent, I was like, isn't this the place that you guys all used to dance at? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, well, it's available for rent. You keep talking about this. Like, do you want to do this? Like, I know we know nothing about this field, like, music and DJing, and I know business, and that's about it. But, I didn't know anything about the cupcake world and that business, and I learned as I went. So we just decided to, what, this is a dream that he wanted to do. This is something that I love to do too, and something we can do together. And so, again, just ran with the idea, and Molly suggested that we not do it. She actually used to own a bar herself for 17 years. And she's like, you will not like it. It'll drain you, this, that. Don't do it. But if you're going to do it, here's what I would do. So like, she's still been a
right.
mentor and like
every restaurant person's like, don't do it. But if you want to, let me tell you what to do.
Yeah. Yep. And so she still helps, and I come with her to advice. And even there was one time she came in, she's like, you have to change it. And I was like, but this is not, like, I actually started crying because it was something that I was like so passionate about having there. And she's like, you cannot do this. And so it's a lot of learning. We didn't even know how to bartend. Yep. We knew nothing about alcohol. We knew nothing about how to make drinks, about, again, the basis of business, and how to run social media, and marketing and this and that. So it's been a whole learning thing, but like literally, like, finally we're at the point where it is the place that everyone wants to be at. It's, every week money comes in, we find a new project to work on, and like to see where it came from to where it is now, like, it's insane. Like, it's super cool, just like the cupcake business.
It's funny. My dream is to open a special place when time is right, but I've been in the industry since I was 17. Like, all I ever knew was restaurants. And so for me, jumping into media, I knew nothing about it, but I just said no one else is talking about kind of like the underbelly of how hard things can be. But there's also a lot of success in sharing when people have struggled, because it gives people hope, right? So I just jumped in. I didn't know what I was doing, but I started asking for advice. So like for you, you jumped into a world that I totally know, and you're getting advice from someone that's lived it, because it is so important. If you find this success in something so niche, like what you're doing, I think is amazing. Like, there's a group of moms down here that line dancing just started at a local bar, and like, should we all just go? Like, I used to Irish dance. I wonder if it's similar. Like, could I jump in on line dancing? But it's something that I hear is like a lot of fun. Like it's a very community thing. People are always out there. You're doing stuff. It's like a social thing to
Mhm.
do that's not your normal just going to a bar, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
idea, is to have fun in different ways.
Yeah.
And I love the name. So where did Pink Cadillac come from, if you don't mind me
Yes.
asking?
Yeah. So my bakery, everything in my bakery is pink. And Rico, his favorite artist is Bruce Springsteen, and there's a song called Pink Cadillac. And so I figured it was kind of a part of both of us, and I felt like it was a cool country name to have for a bar. So I was like, we got the pink for me, and then the whole song with it being the full name.
That is so sweet. My daughter is pink, pink, pink. Everything's pink, but she also loves dinosaurs and trucks. So like that's who she is. But I love that pink is your passion, and you guys have tied it all together into like a really fun meetup. I've been looking at the Instagram and your dances and all of it. And you guys also, so your boyfriend, he also DJs it, correct?
Yeah, so he's the DJ for all the
Okay.
nights. Sometimes we bring in guest DJs. We started doing
Mm,
Latin nights. And up here we have a lot of J1 kids that come up for work and stuff from other countries.
yeah.
So all summer we've been doing Croatian and Serbian nights called Balkan nights. And so when the bar closes on Wednesdays, we open it up to them and we play all their music because they work till, 11:30 at night. And then, they
Mhm.
go to these bars that don't play any of their stuff and they miss home. They found us last year and was like, hey, will you play our music? And we're like, sure. And then like hundreds of them started showing up. And I'm like, okay, next summer we need to cater to these kids. And,
Mhm.
once a month at least, bring them in, play their stuff, and let them have a good time.
So where I live in Ocean City, J1, and I live in a tourist town, so we have tons of J1 students that come, and a huge population of our J1s are Dominican. So where I used to
Oh,
work, we'd
okay.
have Dominican nights one night a week where we played Dominican music
Yeah.
because, right, they're looking for a place that's like home. I mean, a lot of
Yep.
them, it's the first time they've even left their country, and they're
Hmm.
looking for a place that feels safe to have fun and like talk and do all the things they want to do. So I did not realize. So you guys have a huge J1. Is it a summer thing for J1 students for you guys
Yeah.
too?
Yeah. Most of
Okay.
them, yeah, they come like May to September. So last night we actually had
Same.
one. It was their last one. Some stay through October, but mostly around this time of the year.
That's so funny. Now that people know what J1 is, so when you said that,
Right.
I was like, man, that's wild. Because we were just talking about down here, they start going back after Labor Day, but we still have so many events that happen September and October. So people are now like, it's like skeleton crew, servers,
Yeah.
bartenders, owners are going to be behind the bar working and doing stuff. We have bike week. We've got a bunch of Sunfest, music concerts. And you do rely on your J1s for a lot of
Yeah.
the heavy lifting for sure.
Yep.
Now, are you serving food too?
We don't do a lot. We've kind of just stuck with pizzas and then we sell my desserts there as well. So eventually we'd like to do something more with it. We just, we're looking at different options of whether we're going to put a kitchen in there or just get like a food
Hmm.
truck. Because obviously we don't own the building. So investing that kind of money into a
Right.
kitchen, I would rather be mobile with it. So when we do events, and because we can take our liquor license offsite too. So when we go to events and stuff, to be able to have a food truck and a liquor license together and be able to serve food and drinks, like, would just be more, cost effective.
That's how your liquor license works?
Yeah. So we're able to, it's called like a caterer's permit. And so we
Oh,
serve
okay.
alcohol, like obviously at our locations, but if we get hired to do like a rodeo, like we can apply for a
Mhm.
caterer's permit and then we can bring our liquor
Perfect.
license off site to this place and serve alcohol under that.
That's great. So that's, I mean, it's a great license to have because not
Yeah.
every place has that, or that you're able have access to that. Yeah, I'm gonna sound super ignorant. I didn't even know that country was a huge thing out in Alaska. Like that
I
was like
didn't
the
either.
furthest thing that I could think of.
Yeah, I would have never thought. That's why when someone brought it up, and I'm like, how have I never heard about any of this stuff all these years? I grew up in Alaska, and I didn't even
That's what I
know it
thought.
exists.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was so surprised by it. But it is. It's a huge community, and like they had it one night a week at places, and so now we offer it 5 nights a week, soon to be 6 nights a week, and like it's busy. Like people want more of that, especially because we're a place where people come to because of military, and so you get people from all
Mm.
the around the U.S. that are big country people, and so that's why I think we have so much country interest here, is because of people from all over.
Wow. Well, oh yeah, like I said, Alaska was supposed to be my husband and I's honeymoon. We were supposed to go there, and
Oh.
then like the world kind of happened and we never made it out. I know everyone's like goes to, to warm places, but we were living in Charleston at the time. So we
Uh-huh.
kind of lived all over the country. We were already living in a sunny place. And I was like, let's go to Alaska. And that was what we wanted to do. I just my grandparents had vacation there. I had friends that have been out there, and they just say there's just something about it that you can't find anywhere else in the United States. Like the air is
Yeah.
different. The
Mm-hmm.
community feel is very different. And it's a part of our country that's like I said, 4,000 miles away from me. And it's just
Yeah.
something that I would love to do and experience. Um, and just, yeah, see different parts of like our country is
Yeah.
so diverse and there's so many wonderful things, but we are also like very united and tied. Like you said, like you're a mom that saw a need or something and you made a cookie. And like I'm a mom that could have used that cookie that lived on the other side of
Yeah.
the country. So I think it's
Yep.
so beautiful that I had the opportunity to hear your story and share a bit about what you're doing. Again, thank you to Molly for connecting
Right.
us. That's amazing. So, what is your hope and like the next thing that you want to accomplish, whether it's at Pink Cadillac or with your cheesecakes? What are you looking to do?
Yeah, so with the cheesecakes and the Castle's creation side of things, especially with Molly by my side, she's been a huge help and mentor through my whole process of being in the wholesale world. Is just getting to the next step. Fred Meyers told me that once I can show my solid numbers in the state, like they definitely want me down in the lower 48. So, trying to navigate finding co-packers down in the lower 48 to produce my product to then distribute it out, because trying to make it here and send it down there would be crazy. So
Hmm.
definitely want to grow the brand to a national brand just like her. And then with the bar, I would just say, just keep, making it a better experience, making it a fun, safe environment that just keeps getting better. And what can we do to, reach out to the community more and make a difference? One of the nights that I'm super passionate about is we have a night called Buckaroo's Night. And when we first started, we didn't have a liquor license. So everyone could come there. We just had pizza, my dessert, and then like soda and water. And when the bar
Hmm.
opened, obviously kids couldn't come in there. So we created a night called Buckaroo's Night where we close down the bar. We serve no alcohol. We allow all ages in there. And then we start doing a thing. It's a fundraiser night, and we pick a nonprofit every single week. And so those nonprofits obviously have their own community of people. So we charge everyone to come in that night, and then we give a percentage of ourselves to the nonprofit. So we're building community while giving back to the community.
I love that. That
Yeah.
is like the sweetest thing that but if you were to tell a bartender or, I mean, a bar owner, we're going to shut down, we're not going to sell alcohol for one night.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's our biggest money maker. But like for you, it sounds like the whole point is you're just trying to be a good community member and like give back in some capacity.
Yeah. Well, and then like think about like our society and like kids and stuff and all the things they get into. Like we get to provide a fun, safe environment and teach them a new skill that when they, and then when they do get into the bar scene, they have a community of people and they know all these dances, and it's easier for them to jump into it and whatnot. And we tried to pick obviously the night that has the lowest sales that wouldn't affect it as much
Yeah,
and
of course.
stuff. But yeah, I mean, we make sometimes more money on that night than an alcohol night. So, and these kids, like, especially in the
Wow.
summertime, we have these kids home from college and stuff, and we have over 200
Mm.
kids showing up on these nights. So it's super cool to see it grow, and I'm excited to see what happens with that.
Do your kids come?
Yes. They
Do
both
they
love to
dance?
work with me. So my oldest is 11, and he actually makes all the mocktails behind the bar with one of our
So
bartenders.
fun.
Yeah, he loves it. And then my youngest is 8, and he helps make all the pizzas and kind of gives the stamps at the front desk and stuff. But yeah, they both love being part of it, and pay them by the hour. So then, I get to teach them money coming in and how to manage finances and how we're going to save this and that. And then, they're getting work experience and learning job work ethic and stuff too.
Wow. I mean, the closest I have to that, because my daughter's not even 5 yet, was when I
Yeah.
was running my friend's pub. She would come with me to the restaurant and I'd have her sit
Uh-huh.
at a booth. But she'd come behind the bar, she'd watch Miss Liz in the kitchen. She knew where the Keno machine was. I joke about that, but like kids that like I grew up also going to my uncle's restaurant and bar, and like there was like the smoking section and the non-smoking section. We would go play in the billiards room, which was the smoking section, but
Yeah.
on Sundays he wouldn't let anyone in there. And like it was the experience that kind of what got me into the industry was seeing it firsthand and like, oh, I think
Mhm.
this is kind of fun. I can see myself doing well here. And here I am pushing 40 and I've been in it since I was 17. So like there's something to be said about
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful that your kids love one, they love being with their mom.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Because not a lot of kids are like that. I think that's so
Right.
lovely. And then they get to learn about a business, like a real trade, real skill is amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. Where can people contact you, or is the best email or website that they should go to?
Yeah, so Facebook is probably the best way to contact me. It's facebook.com/a Castles Creation, so like AK, both K's, both plural, or by email, castlescreations@yahoo.com.
Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing your life and your career and your whole experience. I'm so appreciative. Thank you to everyone that's listening. Please be sure to follow all things Hospitality Bites through hospitalitybites.com or connect with me on social media and follow my friends at the Welcome Talk Show for their incredible content, including today's podcast episode. I want to thank you again, Kastle, for joining me. I'll let you get back to your kids, and everyone, please be kind to yourself and to one another. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.